Sustrans created the National Cycle Network and they still look after it. I read this part from their website. The National Cycle Network is a series of safe, traffic-free paths and quiet on-road cycling and walking routes that connect to every major town and city. Route 1 of the National Cycle Network runs from London down to Dover and passes through Sittingbourne. Sittingbourne is in the local authority area known as Swale. Over several years, when I have attempted to follow this route through Sittingbourne, I didn't have much luck. I couldn't find it because all the signs had fallen down, but when I eventually did get it sorted out, I came to the conclusion that if you were trying to find the worst possible route through Swale or through Sittingbourne, this was probably it. So I looked around and found a better route, and then I wrote a letter to a county officer who I thought might be interested, suggesting they make a change. I got no reply. So some months later, early 2016, I made a report. I titled it Suggested Change Route 1 of National Cycling Network. I took photographs on the existing route and my proposed route, and I provided a map. I sent that to both Swale and Sustrans and got no acknowledgement. Some months later, there was an article in the local newspaper about cycling accidents in Kent, so I sent it to the county councillor who appeared to be interested, and as a result of that I got a letter from a county officer, a long bureaucratic letter, but in effect just swatting me away. So I wrote back a rather forceful letter, and then to that I got another reply. It said, or part of it said, "Since this correspondence, I have met with the Economic Development team at Swale Council, who agree in principle to your suggestion to alter the route of NCR1. A win, I thought. In the latter part of the letter it says there will be some delay because this will require new signing. So I left it for some months, and then when I visited Sittingbourne, yes, there was new signing, but not on my proposed better route, but merely re-erecting all the signs that had fallen down on the existing route. So I then wrote again another rather grumpy letter to Swale, and I got a reply to that. In it we have this: Sustrans is clear that the signed routes in Kent, and specifically this route, are all about getting people to the centre of towns and villages and not about recreational cycling in quiet rural locations. So I remind you of the original Sustrans description. The National Cycle Network is a series of safe, traffic-free paths and quiet on-road cycling and walking routes that connect to every major town and city. You will notice the difference. And you'll note also that it says that it's not about recreational cycling. Well, I can assure you that serious cyclists, those in colourful lycra, are never found on the National Cycling Network. And the other use which a network might be used for, that is for local people getting about, of course they could still do this perfectly satisfactorily on the existing cycling routes, and being local they would know their best route. No, the signing is for the, mostly I would suggest, for the stranger. Later in the same letter it says, this work would require a safety audit, traffic surveys and changes to the road scheme. This of course is merely obstruction, because when I have cycled on my suggested route, It's mostly on a very quiet, short length of road, and then the great majority is on an existing, dedicated cycle route. So if it's okay to cycle on it now, why do we need these further reports? No, this is just obstruction. So what I have now done is I have made two videos, one on the existing route and one on my proposed route. I'm sorry they're a bit rough and ready because I made them just strapping a camera to the front of the car, the front of the bicycle. Although they're rough and ready, I think they will give you a bit of an indication of the alternatives. This is the current Sustrans map. I've just downloaded it off their website in November 2017. This is the existing route. This black dots are my proposed route. To give you a bit of orientation, the Asda store is there, Morrison's there, the Crown Lane roundabout there, centre of Faversham that way, Greyhound track there. This goes off to Connor and Faversham, that goes off to Medway Towns. And I'm going to start my videos just here. There's a little bridge here over the railway line that runs between Sittingbourne and Sheerness. So I'll start just there. This then is the bridge over the railway. We swing round to the right and then we set off in this direction. This is a cul-de-sac, so there's no traffic. We continue up here and then we turn right again, then left. And then we cross a roundabout and then we're in Riddham Avenue itself. This part of Faversham is a bit of a backwater as far as traffic is concerned. There are no through routes, so it makes for safe cycling. Now we're coming to the end of Riddham Avenue, which is a dead end and therefore no traffic, through these bollards and onto a very nice piece of dedicated tarmac. Here we are then, arriving on Swale Way, which is a busy main road. We've arrived on a roundabout, but no matter, there's a dedicated track round the edge. Oh, here's a cyclist. That's a rather unusual event on this route. Now this is a rarity. This is a purpose-made cycle track which is actually smooth, and as you can see it goes on for a considerable distance. Here you see we've continued farther down the track. We almost have the impression that we're in the open country, and appearing there on the right hand side is the country park. We are now just coming to the bridge over Melton Creek. You can see the creek just there through the railings. Here we come to the only crossing on the route, but it can be negotiated safely because there are drop curbs and a central refuge. Now here we're coming to the end of my proposed route. We join up with the Sustrans official route, which is coming in, you'll see there from the right, and then we turn left and continue on across the road. Now here we are back where we started before, and we swing the camera to the left this time. Now we're setting off on the official Sustrans route, starting on the path, and now I think we wriggle through these cars. And this is a cul-de-sac, so there's very little traffic, so this is a perfectly good route for this section. Now we've come to a roundabout, and at the moment there's very light traffic, so this is okay.
And now we're continuing up on another, what looks to be a lightly trafficked road. Now we're coming up towards a junction and I spy a footpath sign, so I think we can nip on here. That's pretty good because the road there looks fairly busy. Yes, it's confirmed because we have this divided track now.
I presume this must still be a cycle track, although it's not very convincing. The farther we go, the less confidence I have that this is correct, because Sustrans do show this section on road. So as we proceed, I think I will go back on the road lest I get a fine, a £40 fine off a policeman. Now, as we come round this roundabout, can we go off road? I see no sign, so I'll continue on the carriageway.
I must say I'm not enjoying this on-road bit very much. As an entirely defensive cyclist, I don't usually make a habit of doing this sort of thing much. I can see an off-road bit here coming up. Get off this carriageway, that'll please me. Oh, that's better. So this is a cycle track. Although, of course, Sustrans do in fact show all this section to be on road, so that's a bit of a mystery. We're still on this track. Here's a very narrow, pathetic track really, but better than the road. If you come along here on bin day, you won't do much good because these houses all place their bins in the cycle track. You'd have to go on the road anyway then.
Now, thankfully, we can get off the carriageway onto this cycle track, which looks pretty good and I think goes on for a fair distance. Now we have somebody parked across the cycle track, so we'll have to squeeze round the front of him. Here's another road entering from the left, so we'll have to negotiate these two drop curbs. There's another road from the left, but this time we can cross straight over. Now we must wriggle our way past the petrol station. Somebody else parked on the path. I think that car on the far side is parked on the drop curb, so I'll have to climb up here and slide inside this car that's parked. Bit of a squeeze. Oh, he's going off. Oh, he didn't see me at all, did he? Yep. Now again, Sustrans show this section as being off-road, which can only be on the footpath. But I see no signs, so I presume again I'm taking a chance on a £40 fine from the policeman. I can see a sign on a pole ahead which says that I'm to turn right, but the Sustrans map says turn left, so that is in fact what I'm doing. Now I've gone some way without seeing a further sign, so I'm beginning to lose confidence that oh no, we're all right, there is a sign on the pole, so we're still on the route. We continue along these narrow paths to the point where I rejoin my proposed alternative route. And you can see the Sustrans sign there confirms we are indeed on the correct route. Now I've returned to the point where there was a disagreement between the map and the signpost. This time I've followed the signpost, although the on-road bit doesn't appeal to me. Now we've turned right and we see a sign on a pole there which tells us we're going in the correct direction. Now we're coming down towards Tong, which is round to the right. The signpost says go left, but there I think we will stop for the moment. Now I've come back to the Sustrans map because clearly we've got a bit of a quandary here. I came through the industrial estate there and then turned up this short road, and it was at this point where the arrow said that I should turn that way, but the map, as you see, says go this way. So initially I followed round there, and that is where I joined up with my preferred route, and then subsequently I came back here and went in this direction and then around along here to Tong, where I ceased. Now if we'd continued as directed by that sign there up in this direction, we could eventually rejoin Route 1. Now you can see that we don't actually know which way this route does in fact go. At the point where the sign on the post disagreed with Sustrans' map, if we go left, which is the way I went initially, then that's okay. My suggested alternative route joins up nicely, so that's okay. But if you go right, the opposite way to the direction suggested by Sustrans on their map, on down to Tong, then my suggested route needs extending. So I'm now going to show you the way I normally go, which is perfectly satisfactory. Now this is a very poor map that I've downloaded off Google, but it'll have to suffice. My preferred route comes into the top of the map there, and we had on the cycle come along there, so this is where they joined. Now you can continue in this direction in an off-road piece which parallels the main road, and then it comes into this which is a cul-de-sac. So there's no traffic, so you can come round there, and then it goes off-road again beside the main road round to here. I usually come round this way, and here there's this track here. It's pretty good. This bit okay, that's good. This bit across here rather improvised, but it comes out on this road which leads down to Tong, which is where I ceased previously. I'll return to Sustrans' original description of their intentions. which is to create a series of safe, traffic-free paths and quiet on-road cycling and walking routes. Now, it's quite apparent that the existing route totally fails in this respect, and that my alternative route is in fact quite good. But then you might say, what about the remainder of their description, which was that the routes connect to every major town and city? And of course my suggested route doesn't do that, but I make two suggestions. My route could be the primary route, the existing route could become a secondary route. That's one solution, but a better one exists. If you go to where the bridge crosses Milton Creek, on your right hand is the Milton Country Park. And this, I think, might provide an excellent route to the centre of the city, so that's where we go now.
Now we are entering Milton Country Park. You can see the bridge on the left, the track swings round to the right, and as you can see it's quite a nice wide track, very suitable for cycling, and here it is continuing the same width. Later on it gets narrower, but it's still perfectly satisfactory. And now we've come to a wetland area. The path is on the left there.
I only saw coots and mallards, but I'm sure there's more than that to be seen.
And there's the names of the wharves that used to be here, incised rather neatly into concrete. This second one says Gransden's Wharf. Now you see the track has got wider here. And now we're coming up to the end of the park, and I must congratulate whoever chose that entrance aperture, because they're excellent. The disabled and those in mobility vehicles can get past, but not the motorbikes. Now we're leaving the country park and heading towards the original route, which you can see under that bridge.
So now we are back on the Sustrans route. I have come back then to the map as before. So finally then I come to the suggestion that anybody wishing to transit Sittingbourne but visit the centre would in fact come down this route that I suggest, up through the country park to there, visit the middle of the town, and then return by the same route and on that way. Finally, I would like to say that Route 1, as it passes through Sittingbourne, is a mess. It's been a mess for a very long while. Very little would be required to sort it out. Wouldn't it be nice if it could be done?